And truth be told, for me, it wasn't until I brought together the spirituality and the money piece, because it worked
Mhm.
for me, that I started to feel a sense of power and confidence in what it
Okay.
is that I'm doing, because I have such empathy for the past version of me who suffered so much in this area. And the truth is, like, that's what gets me out of bed. That's what makes me excited, is women having a healthier relationship to their money. And then I utilize the astrology to help us do that.
I'm Bethany, and this is Life.ing. I guide women back to themselves through grounded spiritual practices and honest conversations about what it actually takes to build a life that feels like yours. This isn't another self-help podcast. It's a space for women who are tired of knowing what needs to change, but not changing it. We talk about devotion, self-trust, and what happens when you finally stop abandoning yourself. If you're in the middle season between who you were and who you're becoming, welcome home. Hello, loves, and welcome to our next guest episode here on Life.ing. I am thrilled for our next guest that's coming here on the pod because she is an absolute baddie. I don't even know where to begin with how much I am inspired by her, but the work that she does with helping women in their finances and tying in astrology and spirituality and just really uplifting us as a community into being the most baddie women that we can be. It is such a freaking gift. And so let's please welcome on Natalia Benson.
Bethany, thanks for having me, my love. I'm just excited to hang out, honestly. That's why I'm here. I just want to hang
I
with you.
know. I've missed you so much.
Missed you
So
too. We feel your absence. I will tell you that. We do.
I
We
feel it
miss you.
too. I was actually just talking with Bree and Natasha, and we were just like,
Yes.
I miss this community so much. Like the community that you've built is insane.
That makes me teary eyed. Like, that's like the most, what an absolute, like, I'm speechless. That's like the most beautiful thing ever.
I mean, it's pretty wild to think about because you give so much information, right? The things that actually help us figure out what the heck we're doing with our finances and everything. But I think what's even bigger is the impression that you made for just the world of NB, right? I got the tools that I needed to help me feel confident, successful with myself moving forward. But what stuck even more was just the energy, right? And just, I think that speaks volumes to who you are.
Oh, God. I mean, you know what speaks volumes is the fact that such high quality, loving, funny, kind, powerful women like you and Brie and Nat like are drawn to my spaces like that to me. Even like, it's funny, this is a random story, but my facialist was like, Natalia, I can literally tell when someone finds me through you because they're so freaking nice and cool. And I was like, that is the best thing ever, because it's like, yeah, we find each other, there's resonance, like that's just like a
Yeah.
frequency thing. But that is so cool. I feel like a dork. I don't know what to say because I'm so honored.
I just had to hype you up a little bit because it's all facts.
Yeah.
It's all true. You
Thanks,
know,
babes. My Aries loves it. We're like, thank you.
you're like, keep going. Thank
We're
you.
sensitive. Yeah, let's just talk about that. No, we'll talk about that offline. We'll voice note each other. But no,
Right.
I love it. Thank you, babe. And like, I mean, really, you just brought such an energy, Bethany. And I always tell my girlies, especially in MWMM, it's like, if you lean in, you lean in 5%, it'll lean into you 500%. So it's just
It's
like
wild.
you really leaned in. And it's just, yeah, we miss you. And, no pressure. Come back
Oh,
whenever you
I'll be
want.
back. I will be. I definitely will be back.
No pressure. Not using our podcast interview to tell you that we miss you and that we want you back. But yeah, I'm honored, babe. So thank you for that.
Yes, yes. So before I even, because I don't even know if some of my audience might not even know who you are, but
Yeah.
we're going to rewind even before where you're at today. I want to take it back. We're going to go on a little time machine. I want to hear where you started, like before the astrology, before the money mentoring, before all the sex that you have. Like, what was your life like when money felt completely foreign to you? Who were you before you found your way here?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, to say that I have transformed is an understatement. Like I actually was at dinner with some newer friends when I was just on my Miami trip with a group of amazing women. We all met at a business retreat over the last 2 years. And one of them, who's a newer friend to me, she was like, tell me more about your story, your transformation. And I was like, do you want to see a photo of what I used to look like? Because that will just, and that's not even a vanity thing. It's just literally like, I used to have such low self worth. Like my self worth was so, so low. And I did not honor, I didn't see myself as someone worthy of much. I just had a lot of undigested trauma from when I was very young. I got bullied a lot when I was in like middle school and high school. And I just, so that it really came to a head in like my very, very early 20s and peaked in my later 20s before my Saturn return,
Oh,
where
those Saturn returns.
yeah, that's Saturn. We can talk about it because my lordy heavens. And I'm a Capricorn rising. So Saturn is like my chart ruler. So having discipline in my life is a really huge cornerstone. And as I'm getting older, I'll be 39 next April. I have so much healthy discipline and devotion in my life because I know what my life is like when I don't exist in that caliber of self-discipline. I need it. I'm just someone who needs it. So it's so good for me. But one thing that I'll say is, before I stepped into who I am now, this has been like an unfolding over a lot of years. And, I'm recently divorced and, going back to even my early 20s, I always really struggled with relationships, like really, really struggled with dating, really struggled with feeling vulnerable, really struggled with putting myself out there. I had an initial business when I was in my 20s, and I just never really reached any sort of pinnacle of success, so to speak, because I was so afraid of selling and I was so afraid of like putting myself out there and really doing what I needed to do to bring it to the place that it was. But, before I stepped into this iteration of self, I struggled with addiction. My self-worth was just really, really low. And I think as I got to my later 20s, I was like, I'm so sick of being broke. I'm so sick of being at odds with myself. I'm so sick of hating myself, frankly. I was like, what do I need to do to make my life better? And for me, the financial piece was really big. I actually recently, maybe 5 months ago, I was at one of my best friends. She was launching a book and we were at Barnes and Noble, and this woman came up to me and she was like, I don't know if you remember me, but we used to know each other when you were in your 20s. And she
You're
goes,
like, oh God.
I know. I'm like, dude, my memory
What did I do?
I know, literally. I was like, what's she about to say? Lord heavens. But it was so fascinating because literally she's like, you used to struggle so much with money. She's like, I remember meeting you and you were so stressed out about your finances. And I was like, it was just like a blast from the past because you feel like someone has had this experience of you. And for me, it's like, I have just, it's not to say my relationship with money is the end all be all. I think it's an unfolding relationship, but holy crap, has it 180 transformed, healed, and up leveled.
It's
so
like, who was
I don't
that
know if I answered your question, but
well, a couple interesting things. I think that when you're saying you had such a challenge with selling, what immediately came up for me was I feel like selling is tied to how much you value yourself and your self-worth. Because ultimately it's not really about selling anything. It's about, no, I know what I have to give. I know what I have to offer. And this is what I can provide to you. And so I guess, how did you learn to step out of that? Right. Where it's like, you know what? No, I'm ready to own what it is that I have to give.
Yeah, I love that question, babe. I mean, honestly, this business, and I teach astrology, obviously, and I see the astrological blueprint, aka the natal chart, as such a guide. And truth be told, for me, it wasn't until I brought together the spirituality and the money piece, because it worked for me, that I started to feel a sense of power and confidence in what it is that I'm doing, because I have such empathy for the past version of me who suffered so much in this area. And I know you've heard me talk about this before, Bethany, but it's like, I mean, I tell my girlies, I'm like, y'all, I can take or leave the astrology, truth be told. I was like, I love you guys. I know that's all you want, but what you need is the personal finance. And the truth is, like, that's what gets me out of bed. That's what makes me excited, is like women, you know, having a healthier relationship to their money. And then I utilize the astrology to help us do that. Because for me, being in the business that I'm in now, having this business, having the membership, having my clients, I'm so on my path. It makes it easy to sell. It just makes it easy to share. But I think that one of the keys is having a mission. You know, it's like, and I don't know, like my mission, I'm a manifesting generator too in human design. So that's like unfolding, and like definitely
Always
different
shifting.
things enter the freaking chat. Like I became a medium out of nowhere, and freaking heck, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, okay, God, universe. I'm like, let me know the plan when you're able. But it's so special because at the end of the day, I think feeling confident, it's not to say that my jewelry line, when I had that first business, it's not to say that that wasn't a part of my path and therefore I couldn't sell. But I think by the time I got into this business and working with women, there was just a fire in my heart that made it possible for me to start to burn through the fear. And that's been a process. Like even I went through a lull probably from like 2021 even into 2024, where I had a lot of fear. I was just afraid of being too much. I was afraid of being rejected. And I kind of had to go through another round of like, thought I slayed this dragon already. And it's like, no, like you actually didn't. So there's more nervous system recalibration. There's more practice to feel safe. But I think that honestly, like being on our path as women, knowing that we have a mission to serve, and then healing and doing our inner work, it just makes the uncomfortable stuff possible. And you know, if there's one thing I've noticed about myself, I'm definitely not a naturally patient person.
Same.
But with, right.
I remember asking for patience once and I was like, I will never do that again.
You're like, I'm gonna ask for something different. But like, honestly, one thing I have noticed is with my mission and with the things that are genuinely important to like my impact, I have infinite patience. I know that it's coming from my soul and from, let's say, like my directives from source when I can be patient. And I know it's coming from my ego when I'm in a massive freaking rush. You know what I mean? So it's really fascinating. You know, because even for me with the selling, I was telling a client of mine today, she's doing webinars and pitching on webinars, and she has this incredible service, but she's like, you know, it feels clunky for me. And I was like, oh my God, if I could even begin to tell you how many masterclasses I've taught and how many webinars I've taught where like 3 people came and then no one bought anything. And it's just like, it's like, but it was all reps, you know? And now when I sell, it's just like, it's so seamless because not only do I care, but I've also put in the reps to feel just confident and just be able to be a good communicator.
Yeah. You know, when you said that you were going through a fear moment from 2021 to 2024, you know what I thought? Because let's talk about the pivots real quick, okay? Because I feel like we both have had some major pivots within the past a little over a year or so, huge life changes. And a part of me feels like that fear window that you were in was setting you up for what you're stepping into right now, because I see what you're offering now and it is shifting and it is changing. And I honestly don't see how you could even have the capacity to step into what you're doing next without getting that push back then, right? Where it's like, why is this all coming up all of a sudden? What the heck? I've been doing this for years. And it's like hindsight where it's like, oh, okay, this was happening. You already know something needs to change. You've been thinking about it, circling it, waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, the right moment is the one where you decide. Elixir is my 8-week intensive where we rebuild your life so choosing yourself becomes your baseline. Not just once, every day. This isn't about more insight. It's about follow through, trusting yourself and acting on it. Doors are opening soon. You can join the wait list in my show notes below.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because, like I said, like the source directives where it's not coming from like my fear mind, it's coming from like, okay, I don't really know where to land this in my life or in making money or in my survival, but it feels so important. And I maybe don't know the exact why right now, but if I'm just willing to like trust that it's here for a reason, the pivot or the
Sit
change
with
is
the
here for a
mess.
reason. Yeah, sit in the messy middle and just be like, and also just, I think one thing that helps me with the pivot is I'm always like, can I serve? Am I helping? Even for me, the mediumship piece, that was so quote unquote random. And I had to stop doing practice sessions because it was just a lot. Like I was like,
It
I'm
is
just
a lot.
juggling a lot. And to also add that in. But it's really interesting because every time I do astrology sessions, like the mediumship is just right there. And I was just talking to my best friend today on the phone and I was like, yeah, I don't really know where to land this plane, but it's like, I'm just going to trust that it's here and like over time it will reveal itself. But as of now, my core focus is service through my money work. And the thing that keeps me going with the mediumship and gets me excited about it is like how healing it is, how much it can help. And so that always helps me trust pivots, even when I'm like, I don't really know where to land this right now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I love the mediumship sessions that you did at MWMM. They were so interesting. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
pop off MB, here we go. I
They
freaking
were
love them.
crazy. We're
You
doing
like
another
called out
one
my
soon.
grandma. Oh, you are?
I totally forgot about that. That was so awesome.
Yeah, I was like, wait, that's literally my grandma here. Thank you for
Oh
that
my God.
note.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Wait, what was your grandma's name again? I
it
feel like
was
she had a unique
Narlene. Yeah, it
name.
was like
Yes.
Narlene Bolton. And I think you said Bolton or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a maiden name from my mom or
That
something.
was
And I was like, oh,
crazy.
that's for me.
Oh my God. Wasn't it like two of you at once too?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember. That was wild. Wild.
Gosh.
That makes
I
me
can't believe you
happy.
just jumped into that journey. That's
I
wild.
mean, me neither. Like, I mean, I used to be afraid of all that stuff. So I was just like, wait a second. And then it's like the deeper I've gotten into it, I mean, I'm so grateful to have overcome that fear because it's like a life half lived when you're afraid of the unseen. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
are ghosts unpleasant? Yeah, of course they are. They're frightening to us because we can't make sense of them. But that is not mediumship, and that is not the other side. Like the other
Yeah.
side is, just it's pure love, it's pure creation. And of course, there's levels of frequency, but when you are vibrating in a certain frequency and you're in a healthy frequency, and I'm very, very specific about what I'm available for, and
Yeah.
my guides know, and my spiritual team knows. So, yeah, it's very fascinating. It's just such a cool, beautiful ability. And I think it's something we all have access to if we can,
Absolutely.
finesse it or we want to practice. It's just the coolest thing. It's like been healing for me on so many
Yeah.
levels because I lost my dad and it's also strengthened the
That's what is
understanding.
that what triggered the mediumship journey?
Well, actually, I started to get I mean, it's a long, crazy story, but basically, I started to get the hit about the mediumship thing in 2023. And
Okay.
then I had a psychic reading with Ainsley McLeod, and I mean, it's a wild story. I did a full podcast episode about it. If you want to link it, because it's too
I'll
much to
drop
go
it in the
into
show
here.
notes.
No, it's really cool actually, and it's very involved. But what I will say is like it sort of happened out of nowhere, where
Okay.
I was like, "What am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life?" I feel so conflicted and so lost and so like I'm forcing and I'm so in my wounded masculine and I'm so in my survival and I'm just suffering. And yeah, long story short, I just screamed out into my office. I was like, what am I doing? You need to tell me what I'm doing. I don't even know who I was talking to. I didn't even believe in the concept of like spirits or like a
Yeah.
spiritual team or got my guides. And I heard in my freaking head, oh, we'll tell you what to do. It was
You're
so
like,
funny. I was
oh,
like, okay.
okay, I'm
And then the
listening.
next day I got this. I was on a 3-year wait list to have a psychic past life session with Ainsley McLeod. And I get an email from his assistant the next morning. And that unlocked a whole slew of energy for me. And I ended up getting sick it was a whole thing. And then long story short, when I was resting, I started feverishly watching Tyler Henry, and I heard the voice again, the inner voice say, mediumship, get a book on it. They're very quippy, my guides. They're like, we only know we have her for a second, so we need to just.
It's so true, though.
I
feel like they're all like that. They're very just like direct, straight to the point, a few words, and you're just like,
short.
Okay.
You're like, okay. Like, because like even yesterday, I had a hilarious experience doing this whole thing in my bedroom, getting the freaking rug under my bed. It was a whole thing on my Instagram stories, but it was funny because like I stopped because my mind was like, you can't do this. You're going to hurt yourself. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, angels, tell me what to do. And then literally I just got the information that's like, move the freaking mattress off the thing. I mean, they didn't say that. That was me to myself. It was like, you're making this harder than it needs to be. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So it's like, they communicate with us all the time if we ask, but every so often they get really direct, clear communication where it's like, mediumship, you get a book on it. Like, it's just like, I never forgot it. Like, I was like, okay. And that's kind of where it all started. But I always told myself I was feverishly, like voraciously watching. I don't know if it's voraciously or voraciously. So nobody spell checked me on that. But basically, I started watching near-death experiences nonstop. And I was watching mediumship sessions nonstop. Yep. And I kept hearing in my inner wisdom, like, we're preparing you for something. And I was like, what? Well, it was preparing me for the death of my father, because the tools and I almost brainwashed myself in a healthy way, by the way. This is not a weird brainwashing, but I did have to reprogram myself on how I looked at loss and death, because I used to be terrified of loss, terrified of death.
Me too. I used to get panic attacks when I thought about death and dying.
Yeah, totally. Me too. Like mostly for me, it was like loss of people that I love. I would just lose my marbles. I would wake up in the middle of the night, like shaking about it. And it was just so intense. And it's interesting how I got that guidance to, like, again, reprogram myself, AKA brainwash myself, to see that the way I was looking at it was not the truth at all. Like, this is just a stop off. These lifetimes are like blips in the infinite radar of your spirit and your soul.
All the time. This is a blip in the timeline.
This is a blippy blip. And like, let's make it a good one if we can. Like, all lifetimes have their flavor, so to speak, of what we're here to learn. But it's like, oh my God, like I'm so grateful that all of that happened and I got that shift, because after my dad died, 2 weeks after he died, I got a mediumship session with a medium who actually read my dad when he was alive, which is trippy. So this woman, her name's Susan.
Like, I know him.
Yeah, literally. She's literally like read for my dad when he was alive, then like channeled my dad after he died. Like, what the frick? If that doesn't blow your mind,
moment.
And she brought my dad through so clearly. It was, it gives me chills. It's like, that was a shift in my grief process, because I was yelling at my dad after he passed. I was like, you better practice whatever you need to practice wherever you are, because figure it out, because I need to know that you're okay. Like, I need to know. Like, I know you are, and I know this isn't it, but like, I need to know. And oh my God. And my dad he was a Scorpio, obsessed with my mom in life. Like, literally his favorite thing in the universe. Every time I've gone to mediumship with my dad, they channel my dad. He just talks about my mom, talks to my mom. I'm like,
hi,
like, Dad, I'm paying for this. I'm like,
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking.
But this was true in life too. Like, it was just the same, but it's kind of funny. But my mom and I were talking recently, and she's like, okay, well, I'm ready to go get a session when you are. And it was so beautiful. And I'm so proud of her for just feeling safer, because she's a Capricorn. Her energy is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyhow, it was just so healing. And I just think fear of loss and fear of death is such a legitimate fear.
Yeah.
But when you really learn the architecture of the other side and how souls work, it's healing. It doesn't mitigate grief, but it definitely helps soften it. So
It
you
was
can,
completely healing for me too, you know.
yeah.
But after it was just like this innate fear of death for some reason. But when I got into my work with intuitive healing and I stepped into this whole spiritual world again, it just all clicked. And I was like, oh, this isn't
Yes.
it. This isn't the end. This is just a
No.
part of it. And it really
Yes.
did heal my fear around that. And, you know, it's so interesting when I have clients at sessions and like someone who's passed on has shows up within the session. It's just always so funny to me because I'll just be saying the most random things. And I was like, I have no idea what this means. And they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that's all that matters. You know, as long
I
as
always joke that nothing will humble you like channeling the other side. Like literally, you're like, okay. One time I was in a session and practice session, and it was a woman. I believe she lived in Central America, and like heavy Catholic influence in her family, like religious influence. And the grandmother, abuela, speaking through me, and I was like, she's bringing me information about the brother, that the brother was gay. And I was like, I'm not going to freaking out the brother. And I said to the girl, I was like, so
yeah.
your grandmother's saying that like there's information about your brother that came out after she passed and she's okay with it. And she goes, yeah, my brother came out as gay. And I was like, I mean, chills. Like I was just, but it was like, I remember talking to Abuela in my head and I was like, I'm not freaking saying that. What if no one knows? Because this is your human self with the other side, but the other
Right.
side knows. They're not going to bring you information that's going to like rock the person.
Yeah,
They
no.
bring information that the person knows or is aware of. And it's just like,
Exactly.
they're not, that's why like the movies and how they portray psychic stuff, it's so not
It's so off. I cannot.
accurate. It's like the other side, like the love that they have for us, and they know what it's like to be human and be afraid of everything. Excuse my language.
Right.
It's just like they're like we want to help you just see that like we're here. There's a confluence of energy. So so cool. Love that
I
we
love
went in this
that.
direction.
I know. So wait,
Figured
where
we
did
would.
where did I know, right? I'm not surprised. Where did spirituality even begin for you? Like how did you even come into this world?
Oh, I love that. I mean, the truth is, it is like so in my chart, like, I
Okay.
mean, it's funny because I grew up, there was no religion really in my family. My mom's side, Ukrainian Jews, my dad, completely agnostic. I think his side of the family was, I don't know, maybe Catholic. I have no idea. But my dad was totally agnostic. Like he didn't have any semblance of spirituality. My mom, when I was young, she was always like, whatever you want to go to. So if you want to go to a church, I'll take you to a church. If you want to go to temple and like see what a Jewish service is like, I don't even think it's called that, but it's like, we'll take you to that. And like, I knew my family was Jewish and we did the Christmas tree and menorah and whatever. But it's like, here's the funny thing. I know you're asking me about spirituality, but it's funny how all of us will attribute spirituality and religion. And as I've gotten older, I see that you don't need to have like faith and have a religion. You can have both if you'd like, or you can have one or the other. It's your choice. But for me, I remember when I was like 18, I came back from a trip called Birthright. It's like a free trip that if you're Jewish, you can go on. So I went to Israel. This was a very, very long time ago. And I got to just explore what it was like to be there. And it was very life-changing for me. But I was studying Torah. This is so freaking Sag of me.
Wow.
I like my Sag moon. I was doing like
You were in
Torah
it.
study. I was in it. I had a boyfriend who was president of the Jewish fraternity. I kind of thought maybe that was going to be my path and I was going to embrace, my roots, embrace Judaism. And my little sweet Sag moon was like, my Saturn and Sag this life was like, you are not here to have like a religion. You're here to have self-sovereign faith and have a relationship with your creator, but religion isn't even for you. And when I came back again, I went to Israel twice actually. And when I came back, this was 2006. This is way before I moved to LA. I just remember coming back and starting to pray in my bed to God. And I said, wait a second. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that there's a God because I don't feel resonant with religion. I don't feel like this path of religion is for me.
Yeah, like there's something else out there for you.
And I remember literally saying out loud, like this is going to be a really lonely life if I don't believe in something. And I remember just falling asleep and I had like a dreamless sleep. And the universe or God or whatever word proceeded to show up in my life via a very handsome Aquarian who I dated.
Damn Aquariuses.
Those Aquarians, they literally every time,
every time. I'm like,
they are literally way showers. They're so intense. So intense. Like I'm like, no more. You guys like fry my nervous system, but no, thank you.
Love you Aquarians. And also.
Yeah, we love you. We could get into a whole episode about that. But one thing I will say is like this man just came into my life. He was much older than me as well. I was probably 19. I think he was like 27, which to me at the time, he may as well have been like 45. Like he was just so wise and older than me.
Not the 27-year-old man.
Yeah. He was hot. It was just a whole thing. God's like, send in the hot guy. Like she'll listen to, she'll get the message. But he gave me a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And that book, between that and the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield, both books that this Aquarian, handsome man gave me, that changed me. Like it was like showed me like I, kind of denounced a relationship to God a couple weeks before. And then I'm reading these books that are like, I'm present in everything, no matter what. And I'm here. So there you go. And I just remember it blasted me. Like it was just, that was what I would say was like the start of my spiritual awakening. And then I was about 19 when that happened. And then I had a reading, let's see. I think I was about 22 and I was I was very active partying, drug use, alcohol. I was just very, very lost. And I had my first astrology reading and he told me, he was like, listen, he's like, you're here to be a messenger. You're here to use your voice. You're here to communicate, write things, talk to people. You're here to empower women. I was like, I'm the least empowered woman you've ever met.
You're like, who are you talking to?
What are you talking about? But in my core heart and my being, I knew what he was saying was right. I just wasn't there. And then he told me, you are here to be very spiritual. You're here to do astrology or yoga or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, it was just so mind blowing because for me, my spirituality, my sense of God at the time was my addiction. It was substances and alcohol. And I do believe, just from being someone who's struggled with addiction in her life, I believe that for many people they're just trying to get to that experience of oneness. It's just the wrong highway, so to speak. Whereas, I went on the turnpike and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do any of that anymore. It's going to ruin my life. And I was very close to doing that multiple times. And I realized that the connectivity that I was looking for was actually found in my spirituality. And I just have developed that over a long period of time. And for me, it happened to be through astrology and tarot. And I was very, very into yoga and I did a lot of yoga trainings and all kinds of stuff, just plant medicine here and there, like inner work, therapy. I just had to figure out my way of clearing the channel so I could listen and hear divinity, whatever that is for me, and not need either substances or religion to get that connection because it wasn't working for me. Yeah. So yeah, that's my simple answer.
You're like, thank you for that.
I'm like, yeah, That's a big question, B. I'm like, hopefully I answered that.
It's just so wild to think about because my 20s were a while. Another person.
Yeah.
I was another person. And it reminds me of this TikTok that I saw the other day talking about millennials and how we are just the last generation that we were just another breed in our 20s, I think.
Oh my
And
God.
it's so interesting to see how many people relate to that. Cause like these are the
Yes.
people that we're speaking to now. And they're like, oh, I've been there. And I'm like, well, I don't know what
Yep.
happened with our generation, but
Oh, I
I don't know if it was like
know.
the lack of technology compared to today. Right.
Yes.
Where we didn't really have
Yes.
social media until maybe at the end of high school, middle,
Yeah.
barely of
Well,
high
yeah,
school. So it's
I
like,
didn't have Facebook till I went to college. Like, and it
you
was for
know,
college students. Like, and then MySpace came around and that was like
yep.
my early 20s. I didn't have
Yeah.
an Instagram account till I was, I think it was 2012. I think I was 24 or 25 years old. So it was just, yeah, you're right. We had a totally different, but also
You know,
I had this weird conversation with one of my best friends as we do. And I was telling her how social media in its like most beautiful expression, it's kind of the return of like this is going to sound weird, so stay with me, but it's like tribal wisdom. It's like when we lived in community, you had wisdom from elders or you had wisdom and information from the community. And even
yeah.
though now with algorithms, it'll echo back to you, whatever, but it's just like if you are voracious about wanting to learn or wanting to heal or you have a certain interest,
You will find it.
you will get it. And like I used to say before my divorce, I was like, man, if I could do it over, I wish I had all this flippin' information when I
Yeah.
was in my 20s floundering in LA. Like, oh my God, it would have made a really big difference for me if I was
It's so
available to it.
true. Like that's how I found you, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
sent NB this voice note when I was leaving MWMM. And I was like, I need you to know how I found you. And I'm like, I actually don't know how I found you, but I had made this manifestation list. And on it, I specifically put, remember I said I was going to send you a photo of it and I never did.
Okay, well,
I got to
time
find
to
it. I'll
send it.
remember to send it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
But on there, I put, I want a financial mentor who has a really loving community, who I feel safe with, who makes me feel confident in my money. Like it was way too specific.
Oh my
I can't wait to
God.
send this to you because it was you. And it's so wild how the internet led me right to you. And I would have never found you without social media, you know? And I'm just
I
like so
know.
thankful that I put that out there into the universe because you were exactly who I was calling in. I'm like, this is what I needed because I used to feel so insecure about my financial literacy and I want to feel grounded and rooted in my money and I want to feel confident knowing what I'm doing with my money and managing it and stepping into my worth when it comes to charging my worth and like all of these
Yes.
different things where I just needed a guide to help me get there, right? And I think that
Yes.
MWMM is such a great community for that. Wait, so MWMM, you started online, obviously.
Yeah.
There was never like an in-person aspect.
No, that's not really my thingy in this life. I'm definitely more
Yeah.
of an online girly. The physical is a little too bulky for me. I can like handle my life, but
Yeah.
as far as like in-person events and all of that stuff, it's a little
It's a
much
lot.
for me. Yeah, so I've definitely found over the years. Plus my second house is ruled by Aquarius, which is like
Okay.
connective technologies. So definitely doing things online is fun for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
it started actually out of a course called Magical Women in Money. And we did a 2-week challenge to get everyone to finish the course. And then I was like, do you guys want to start a community together? And like, I was like, if I can get 33 of you to sign up from this challenge, I will start a membership for you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we ended up having maybe 45 and that was the beginning.
Wow. Wild. How many years has it been?
Oh my God. I've had MWMM. I believe I started in 2019. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been,
That's
yeah,
huge for a
6
membership.
years. I know. It's really something. And like, I'm so devoted to it, especially as a manifesting generator where I want to like reinvent myself every
All of
3
the things.
seconds. It's like, yeah, it's a really big deal to be devoted to something. And over the years, I've changed it a lot. Even recently, just made a big change with it. But I just make sure that it suits my energy so I can serve through it and not quit. Because the second something becomes, I get into my shoulds around it, that's when
Okay.
I quit. And I've sort of learned that about myself, that when I find the channels for service that suit my design and my energy, I am like an unstoppable force, and I show up like 150%. But if I get into shoulds, which there's been
No.
many times in this membership where I was in shoulds, that's why like sometimes the girlies, and you know this because you've been to some of the roundtables where they're like, well, you started like a community board for us, or will you start a WhatsApp? And I'm like, no, I won't, because I love you guys.
Like, that's
But
not
like,
me.
it's not me, it's not this
Yeah.
space, but we have ways to connect. It's just not those. And it's tough sometimes because I always want to serve. I want it to be a useful space, but I also always have to weigh it against my leadership and make sure that the container that I'm creating is not only manageable for myself and the team, but it's also, useful and supportive for the members. So, but I love it. It's just like the coolest. When I first started, it was very hard. I almost quit
Yeah.
multiple times because I just had such huge growing pains with it. But over the years, even right now, I'm about to do a whole new, I don't really know what I'm going to call them, but
Yeah.
basically we're just like restructuring the success tracks, and I'm going to be creating a lot of new stuff. So I'm really, really excited. And, it's definitely been a labor of love in certain seasons, but it's just, I couldn't be more grateful for it. It's literally a blessing to my life, and I know it's a gift to the women who join and who put their energy into it. It's just incredible, the testimonials and the things
Yeah.
that you angels are creating. And it's not a one and done. Like, there's a reason it's a 6-month membership, because it's a lifestyle shift, and
It is. It really is.
it can be some really deep work. And I think you remember, you and I feel like we talked about this, where I feel like people will come to it and they're really excited, and then you're like, whoa, and you have life happen and you kind of pull
Yeah.
back, but then we're there, it's like we're still here. And
It's the wave for sure.
yeah, it is. And sometimes we have resistance to making like exciting, healthy changes. It's kind of
Yeah.
like the old you kind of wants to snap you back. But yeah, thanks for
I
asking. I
think
don't even
that's like
remember
the
the
most,
question.
I don't either. I think that's like the most challenging part, though, is the devotion, the
Yep.
discipline. Wait, side quest.
Yep.
Hold on. I
My
have a
fave.
serious question,
Okay.
because we both have moved through this,
Yep.
the ending of a major relationship.
Yes.
How the heck are you managing your personal life with your business? Like, what is keeping you anchored and grounded, and how do you keep moving forward through it all? Because it feels like a freaking roller coaster, and now it's settled out. I feel like I'm at a plateau now. I actually was just driving the other day, and I had this thought come in, and I knew that I'd come to a stage of acceptance, because I was thinking about my ex, and I was thinking about how I'm actually so grateful for that relationship. It was actually the healthiest, most loving relationship that I've ever had. And I'm grateful to have been given such a beautiful window of time. And that was it. It was just like a fleeting thought. And I was like,
Wow.
whoa, that's
Wow.
huge, because I've been raging for a
Of
while.
course. Of course. I think that's the initial experience. I was the same after my divorce. I
Yeah.
was definitely in a lot of blame of him, blame of me, blame, 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 blame.
Same,
And I
same.
remember the day where compassion entered the chat, like I was like, wow, we both did our best. And
Yeah.
and I think time helps with that. Sometimes the rage and the anger is part of the healing process, because
Yeah.
do we want to stay there forever? I mean, personally, I don't. I mean, it's
No.
not productive. And it also, I love how you've put that, Beth. Like I feel the same. Like I definitely have reached moments where I'm like, wow, this person was really doing their best, and so was I. And there were just blind spots that I had, blind spots that he had, and we were meant to go on this journey. But I will say, my business is in a very like simple place right now. Like my focus is MWMM. I have my clients. My workload is pretty minimal. I have a very, very small team. I literally have a designer and I have an online business manager. I run everything else. There were definitely moments, especially at the beginning, where I could like barely touch anything. Like I was just,
Yeah.
I also I had a lot of shock from the grief of my dad, but
It's
a
like
little more
back to back.
acceptance
Yeah.
because he was sick. But then I went into the shock and the grief, and then the fight or flight of like, okay, we're ending. I need to move out of our house. I need to find a place. Like, it was just a lot.
So
And like,
much.
then by the time I landed, I needed a second, and I fortunately had the opportunity to rest for a little bit. And I did for the most part, but I don't know. I mean, I think the thing is that work for me, because I'm just doing what I love so much, it's also been healing, and it's given me a space of respite to counterbalance all the intensity of what I've experienced. And showing up and serving, like, I've had to give myself grace because even a couple weeks ago, it would have been my dad's birthday, and I wasn't really expecting the amount of grief to come up that came up for me. Like, it was
Yeah.
crazy. And I just, I was on a roll like on Monday, and then his birthday came around on Tuesday, and I was a mess. And I
Yeah.
was exhausted, and I just couldn't really do much for like 2 days. And I just have to give myself that. And fortunately, I have a business where it supports me in that. But I can't do that too much. I
Yeah.
also, I have to show up, and I have to keep things rolling, and I have to be accountable for my team. And so it's sort of like the balance. I do my best to communicate with them and be honest with myself when I really don't have the bandwidth for something.
Yeah.
But I think what's helped me is that also seeing that my work gives me a lot of sustenance, and it gives me a lot of fulfillment. So it helps me, like, I rest when I need to rest, but I work when I know it's important to work. And I also know that even if I'm having resistance with work, that I'm going to feel good once I get certain things done. And it's gotten
Yeah.
easier, honestly. Even after my dad's death and just going through that really big grief portal once again, I've actually afterwards, and letting myself just grieve and feel it, I have been more focused than I have been in a really long time. So that's,
Mm.
it's kind of just trusting the grief process, because one of my mentors literally said, if you don't make space for grief, grief will make space for you. And you don't want grief to
Ooh,
make space for you. You want to
no,
make space
thank
for
you.
grief, because if grief, that's how I think people can get into really unhealthy habits with grief. You want to avoid it and you want to stuff it down or push it away, but you're going to have some really unhealthy coping strategies if you do that.
Yeah. What do you feel like are some of the practices that have really grounded and supported you through it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound kind of funny, but it's my workouts and my nutrition. I started like a health journey maybe a year ago. And again, I got the message like, we're preparing you for something. And I was like, sounds good.
Yeah.
So didn't know what
Here
it
we
was.
go.
So yeah, here we go again. I was like, okie dokie. But I just trusted it. I
It's
was
like,
like,
can I
because,
get a break, please?
I know literally they're like, yeah, soon. Keep going. Yeah, but I'm so grateful because honestly, like having my nutrition and having my workouts, like I mean, even for a minute, I had to chill on my workouts. Like
Yeah.
I was totally using it to escape. And my trainer helped me come back to like a healthy balance with it, of not trying to escape my emotions and just, be with my grief process, but then, show up for my, like, see my workouts not as an escape, but see them as like a health thing. That really helped me get balanced again. Cause I was
Yeah.
literally just like, oh my God, I was being a little bit crazy with it for a little while. And let me think if there's anything else. No, I'd say those, like, it's simple, but I would say those two things. And then also making, like I said, making space for grief. So some days, like, if I need to grieve or it's like a milestone or something, I will literally put on my grief playlist or put on the playlist I made for my dad with music that he
Mm.
really loved. And I wail it out, and I just let myself literally feel like I'm dying, because there's a part of me that has died and there's a part of me that is in pain. And I have to just acknowledge that
Right.
that's part of this. It's just
It's
part of
so
it. We
true.
can't escape it. Because, grief means you cared, like
Yeah.
something mattered. And my dad mattered. He still matters to me. But it's like that relationship mattered to me. And it was also a complicated relationship in its ways, as all human relationships are. So I
Right.
feel like my health and then making space for grief in a healthy way has been good for me. And I think having social time too, like time with friends, talking to people who understand, like it can be hard to talk to people who have not lost a parent. That's how
Yeah.
I was. Like they just couldn't they
They
couldn't
don't
relate
understand.
unless they had
Yeah.
high levels of empathy and high levels of like EQ. But for a lot of people, it's a very overwhelming topic. So I also had to find people who I could just be really honest with, and like, therapy was helpful as well. Just being able to talk to my therapist about my grief and just things that I was moving through. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good stuff.
I
It's
love
good
that.
stuff and hard stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to have that self-care, spiritual toolkit, whatever it looks like for anyone. I agree. Moving my
Hmm.
body has been a big one for me because my Aquarius moon is like emotions. No, what is that?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so moving my body, same. I absolutely need it in my life. It's been such a great outlet for my emotions. And then also, obviously, just my intuitive healing practices have been a really big staple for me. I also love that music is just like this constant thread through your life. I think it's so
Totally.
beautiful. Music
Oh,
is so magical, and
it
it's a whole
is.
other vibration to just connect with and in any emotion that you're going through.
Yep. It's the freaking best. I mean, my dad was so into music. I mean, he named me after a song, so that says a lot. And I think that music is like a connection to the other side. Like in
Mm,
especially with the certain music that I've listened to, and like even I've had fun before where I tell my dad, I'm like, "Okay, dad, I'm putting on a playlist. Like talk to me through the music and I'll put it on random." And it's so fun.
oh,
Like it's
I
so
love that.
cool. Yeah,
I
it's
love
definitely
that.
because they can, frequency is, electronics. That's like people say if there's paranormal activity or something, electricity gets affected.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Like you can obviously work with it in a positive, loving way, but it's just telling my dad, like, okay, I've got this playlist on, talk to me, like choose some
Mm,
songs for me. And it's so fun. And, I find
wow.
ways to keep in touch. He finds ways to keep in touch. Very fun.
I
Very
love that.
fascinating.
Oh my gosh. I swear time just flies by when I'm chitty chatting with you. I'm like, oh gosh.
I
Like, let me
know. I don't
try
want
and
this to
bring this back
end.
full circle. So wait. Okay, so many pivots, so many big life changes. I see what you're stepping into. What's next for MB's world? What are we walking into? What's sticking around? I want the tea.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm so, MWMM, that's my space, and I'm just so excited to continue to serve through, that medium, and I love it so much, and got some really exciting things coming up in there, and beautiful improvements, and just bringing it all up to my new frequency, because I've had it for so long that there's things where
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm excited to do this differently and teach this in a new way, like based on who I am now. Very excited about that. I'm very into fashion, and I'm very into like, I have a really beautiful lifestyle, and I'm so grateful. I've always been into like taste stuff, like
Yeah.
aesthetics, and I've kind of always been like that. But especially now, having more stability and just being able to generate through a business, it's been really fun to see, okay, what are my true authentic desires and how do I
Mm,
like to show up, and doing more with fashion and just kind of tying in more of who I am with my money work,
yeah.
and just not being afraid to experiment a little bit with that. Cause like initially when I stopped, being really forward with the astrology, I was really scared because I was like, oh my God, everyone's known me as this, but
Yeah.
it doesn't resonate. It's not what I lead with anymore. And now I'm just experimenting and having fun and figuring out other ways and means that I want to communicate. And yeah, so a little more fashion stuff coming up. And I don't know, I'm just taking a day at a time right now. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I love that. So, like, okay, last words. Anything that you could share with the amazing audience of Life Be Lifing for someone that is connecting with their value and their worth and owning their damn life and stepping into whatever that looks like next? Because I feel like ultimately that was the arc of this whole conversation was just
Mm,
owning what's meant for us. What are some
yeah.
like words of encouragement that you'd give?
I mean, something, and B, you're familiar with this, because something I'll always ask my girlies, whether it's my girls in MWMM or my clients, is just, It's like literally asking, what do you want? Where are you at? What do you want? What excites you? What do you feel drawn to? And giving yourself permission to just accept the answer and be willing to be patient and accepting and even curious about the process to actualize those things in your life. So if you, like in my silly example of like my fashion stuff, like I don't know what the frick that's meant to be, but I love clothes so much and I love homeware and I love putting things together. So it's like, I don't know what place that's taking in my life, just like the mediumship, but I'm going to make space for it because I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other and start to bring it to fruition in my life and in my work. And I think it's just owning and letting yourself own what you love.
Yes, I love that. Giving yourself permission to accept the answer. Woo! Put that on a bumper sticker.
Put on a bumper sticker.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on this show, Natalia. I absolutely
Thank you, my
adore you,
love.
and I
I
can literally
adore
talk to
you.
you forever.
That's how I feel.
But I know you gotta go.
I actually do gotta go. I wish we could talk all evening.
Yes, but I was such a pleasure having you on, and I
Thank you,
just
my
really look forward to
love.
sharing this with my beautiful audience, and we will catch you all in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.